What's up, guys? It's SuperKamiGuru9000, and this is my review of Bleach chapter 452, and hell yes! This chapter was awesome! I loved it! And you want to know why? Because training is finally over! Our chapter of Bleach opens this week with Inoue, who's basically just sleeping away in bed and is awoken to Ruruka bringing her breakfast. And of course, Ruruka is being her typical tsundere self, where she doesn't really give a crap and decides to leave. But that's not what this chapter's all about. No! That's not what made this chapter great. In this chapter, we get to see Ichigo finally use his full bring form. And we get a little bit more explanation behind it. And I gotta say, it's really cool looking. This week, of course, the training ends with Ichigo doing some good old-fashioned push-ups. And, you know, not just a few push-ups. Ginjo has him doing 15 sets of 100 push-ups. Holy crap, this is like the ultimate PT test. But it makes sense why he's doing this, because Ginjo actually explains that when someone uses a full bring, they're actually using their physical bodies in order to actually contain this power. Thus, they have to have a high amount of stamina, and this is why Ichigo, of course, is having to train this way. But after those 15 sets of 100 push-ups, this is when Ginjo finally realizes it is time. Ginjo remarks to Ichigo that he noticed that when he actually activated his full bring, that he saw the Reiatsu around Ginjo's body. And this is when he realized his Shinigami powers were actually coming back. And he basically explains, you're going to fuse your full bring and your Shinigami powers into one. And he lets Ichigo know, you should be able to do it by now. And that's when Ichigo activates his brand new full bring. And, of course, his brand new form. Now, before we've seen the different ones, we've had his initial one, and then he got his Bankai, and then he had his multiple hollow forms. But this is one of the more drastic ones we've ever seen. And you know what? It looks freaking awesome! And it actually kind of looks like one of those plug suits from Evangelion if you look at it. The brand new form is really interesting. It almost looks like a skull suit of some sorts. And what's even cooler is his badge is actually what activates his brand new sword. And it's a little different from the swords he's used before. It's more of a straight sword and less of like a katana. And it's really cool because he uses the badge with it, and then he actually has a sheath on his back that he can put the sword into. So it looks really, really, really cool. And nobody in the series has had anything like this. And I think, honestly, this is Ichigo's coolest looking form so far. Oddly enough, we see that this training has actually only been going on for about 90 minutes. Ichigo at first freaks out because he thinks he's been wasting all of his time. He didn't get to tell his family or anything. But luckily, this has all been done in the span of an hour and a half. So, all the people at execution basically say, go home to your family, relax a little bit. And that's when he decides to go home, and a bombshell is dropped on us. One hell of a bombshell. When Ichigo returns home, he's of course greeted by his sister. And of course, everything's all bubbly and happy. But a little thing has happened here. They have a visitor. Ichigo's cousin, whom we've never seen before. So it's always interesting to see a brand new family member with Ichigo. But this one was a surprise. His cousin Shu-chan is in town. And guess what? His cousin is Tsukishima, who is casually sitting there on the couch, who casually remarks, "Hello, Ichigo. It's been a while." And that's where the chapter ends, with a shocked look on Ichigo's face as he sees that one of his greatest new enemies is actually a family member. Now, forgive me for gushing a little bit. I just really enjoyed this chapter this week, especially because, one, his training is complete, so that's good, so it means we can move on with the story. The next thing is we got to see what his brand new full bring powers are, which are actually a combination of full bring and his Shinigami powers. And like I stated earlier, I think it looks freaking awesome, especially because we haven't really seen anything like it in the series. And then the third thing was the bit with Tsukishima at the end. That came as a shock. What's interesting, though, is that you'd think that Ichigo would have known what his cousin was when he saw him earlier. But they make it clear in here that they actually haven't seen him in years. They haven't seen him since their grandpa's funeral. So this is some really interesting developments. I can't wait to see where it's going to go from here. As far as a score would go for this chapter, I'm being kind of fanboyish here, alright? I know I'm actually talking good about Bleach, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I just really enjoyed this chapter. When I saw Ichigo's form for the first time, I was taken back, and I was just like, that is freaking awesome. And I might be being a little biased here because I am inherently a Bleach fan. But it's great to see that it's finally moving along after all this training, which has been going on for months, basically. And I really got to give it that. 8 out of 10. It's fantastic. I'd like to hear what you guys thought about this chapter. The best way to do it is just leave a comment below. and let me know what you thought. Did you like Ichigo's brand new form? Do you think it's unnecessary? You gotta admit, though, that sword's pretty freaking cool. And let me know what you think about the bit with Tsukishima at the end. Did that throw you for a loop? It sure did me. But that's pretty much it for this week, guys. Also, quick reminder, if you guys haven't checked out, me and Christian have been working on our top 5 anime heroes list. We got the first 3 that are out right now, with the next 2 coming around really soon. So make sure to check those out and let us know what you think about them. But that's how it goes. SuperKamiGuru9000,